Hiya, it's Xavier. Welcome to my bonsai retreat. And guess what? Finally, this Chinese elm, in fact there's 2 or 3 of them here, I put in pond baskets 2 years ago and then did the most incredibly stupid thing, which if anyone's watched my channel you'll know that's not unusual. So what did I do wrong? Well, this is how we use a pond basket, and we'll put it on a surface like here, and as the roots come out then we can cut them away or they die away, and that should promote a lot more ramification of the roots within the framework of the pond basket. Now what you don't do with a pond basket is what I've done here, just bury it, because all that's happened is there's a ton of roots, I guarantee, that all come piling out of the bottom of this pond basket. So we're going to have a dig and have a look and see just how bad it is, because I think this is going to be a real hassle. And by the way, this 4-foot cutting is, well, say it was a cutting about 2 inches long, well, 4 or 5 years ago. There's a lot down there. We're going to pull it out and have a look, and we'll either sort the roots out, put it back down in the growing bed with a plate under it, or I may even pot it. But there's one big issue. Do you want to know what it is? Yeah, we've got lovely, looks like 1, 2, 3, certainly 4 trunks coming from this point. It's not very stable in the ground, so I'm guessing that there's going to be one very big root. But the biggest issue, believe it or not, is it's chucking down with rain, so I'm going inside.
Heavy rains will continue into the night with destructive wind.
Well, who'd have thought? It's 10 days later and it's finally stopped raining. I suppose living in England, that's something you just come to get used to. But anyway, this is now starting to show lots of new buds popping out, which means it's probably a week later than I really wanted to get it out. Yeah, I'll be very interested to see what it looks like down there. But the first thing I'm going to do is cut back a lot of this big stuff, and I can literally just cut it all back like this. And if you know what I'm like, there'll be another 100 cuttings that'll come just from this one bush, which started life as a cutting. Now what I will say when I'm cutting all this stuff back is I'm really only interested in what's in the bottom 9, well, the bottom foot, to be honest. So all of this is going to be removed. But you know me, I can't help myself. I will take some cuttings. So I might take a big branch, a couple of big branches, right from the base. That's probably about 1 centimetre thick. I'll cut them into maybe 1/3. Try not to cut my finger off, and they'll go in this bucket of water just here. And if I've got time and if I can be bothered, sounds terrible when I say it like that, then I'll sort those out, cut them up for cuttings. There's even some thicker ones here. I'll just cut all the side branches off, and I mean we're still end of winter, so let's do 9 inches. I think I know what 9 inches looks like.
Wipe that shocked expression off your face.
Poke it in the soil, nice and deep, and we'll see if we get anything from those. You know by now, I'll use rooting hormone if it's around, but I'm not particularly bothered if it's not. Pencil thickness, and I'll just shove them all deep in. And about the only thing I might do is I'll absolutely fill it up. I might put a sort of bag over the top just to help create some humidity, but even there I don't think it's essential. So I'll always have a tub of something of dirt around, and the soil is always last year's potting mix that's come out from a recent repot. So I'm not interested in the thinner stuff this year. I'm just really intrigued to see whether I can get some of these thicker pencil thickness ones to produce shoots and roots, because I actually, despite the fact they're supposed to be very easy, have had absolutely no success with hardwood cuttings like this. Okay, well, absolute bucket load of potential cuttings. There's also some really nice thick interesting twisty branches that I've taken off, which I'll show you in a minute. But first of all, let's dig this thing up, shall we? I'm imagining there's literally one root based on experience that's going all the way over there. We'll have a look. I was a bit late for Yamadori, so this counts as my Yamadori dig. Same principles, you go all around the outside, try and establish where that main root is going. It's over there. I've got another small one here, we might as well take that out as well. Okay, that's that one. There we go. So let's take this up to the bench, shall we? Whew. And just so you're aware, one of the projects I'm doing this year is, rather than making a mistake of putting the trees like this in the pond baskets where the roots grow down, I'm going to put all of last year's bonsai soil, mix it in here. What I'm hoping is that these can then become much more controlled growing beds, in line with some bits of slate and stuff. So some of these better ones, I can put them on the slate and grow some nice solid root flares, nabaris. But that's for a later project, I think. Okay, well that's my physical workout done for the day. Well, apart from my swim, which I had this morning, I was out there with the rest of the whales. That's probably a bit unfair to the other people in the pool, but no, seriously, I stand out by my splashing when I'm in the water. So here we go. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trunks have come up from there. I'm going to give this complete and utter wash down, absolutely bare of soil. Again, if you've seen my recent Chinese elm video, I'm sure there's a doodah coming up there. If not, have a look in the description. Then it clearly shows you can really prune back hard if they're healthy. This is healthy, it's just come out of the ground. And the reason why that's good to know is it means that there's loads and loads of energy within the tree itself. So that's why I can actually go really hard on the roots. Like all Yamadori digs, that's why we do all the big root removal straight away. Because once that thing goes into a pot or any sort of container, then that tree has absolutely sapped out most of its reserves. If you start taking off any more big roots the following year, the tree will find it harder and harder to recover. So that's why when you do your Yamadori digs, take as much of the root off as you physically think you can. Don't be inclined to think I'll go back and do that big one next year or the year after. That's from my experience anyway. Anyway, I'm going to get this cleaned down, see if we can salvage the pond basket. This little one here, that's quite interesting as well, but again, grin from ear to ear, because these are just cuttings. Granted, 5, 6 years old, anyone can do it. Cuttings straight into the garden. I didn't even give any aftercare, so get in there, make sure you plant your cuttings whatever you do. Well, I knew that had been too good to last. After 10 days of rain, I managed an hour and a quarter out here before I got sent firmly inside. Rain keeps falling. Well, we're back out now, 2 hours later, and there they are. 2 very, very different examples of what's happened if you misuse a pond basket in the ground. One of them is going to be lovely, and the other one is going to allow me to demonstrate the reason why I went for the title that I did. Because we have a rootastic problem. We'll put this aside for now. And let's have a look at this smaller one, which wasn't even going to feature in the video. That's the pond basket. Fully functional, we'll be able to use that again. Do you know what? Have you ever had deja vu? I swear, I've literally just relived a scene, and I know that it was before I started YouTube. So, hey, just goes to show I was thinking about this a very long time ago. Weird thing, deja vu. Put down in the comments what you actually think it is. And no, I haven't been drinking with Alex again. So, there you go. Very, very one-sided root system, but quite a good mass of roots there. Yeah, absolutely really ideal. It's a shame about there, but all I'm going to do is we've got a big one underneath here, big fat one, but this nice one here growing, so I'm going to get rid of the fat one. Oh my gosh, look what happens when you overuse your scissors. I've crossed them. That's not very good. Don't do this at home. Yeah, so I'm just going to continue to cut around these, and there's one obvious glaring one there that's going straight down. We don't want that at all. So we can remove it. This thing's got a big bulbous up like a little peanut. We don't want that. And it's always a case, if you can see roots beneath, then better off going for them. Underneath here there is actually roots there. So let's take this one off. I suppose the biggest issue I have got with this is I've got nothing on this side. So all I'm going to do is I am going to scrape the bark like that and see if that creates anything. Otherwise I have got this root here which I can bend around in position, and that can create what I want there. Yeah, and I'm just going to continue to do as you often see me do. It's that song. I'm often going to do as you often see me do. Anyway, here we go. So that's pretty well, oh my gosh, that's a nasty crossing one, which means, well, I talked about this, yeah, I don't really want the one underneath it, do I? Let's make the decision now. Ultimately, this is a cutting, cost me nothing. Let's make this decision now. And take it away. Okay, so now we've got these roots, we've got this little one here. Yeah, potentially that one could go, but I'm going to pop that up. There it is, in its pond basket. And the reason why I've used rocks in this case is, bottom line is, there was no easy way to secure it. I was burying it deep as well, so I'm not as worried. I've got a lot of support from the soil. A couple of rocks will do the job absolutely beautifully, so no need to worry about wiring and all that sort of stuff, which can be a bit of a palaver sometimes. So that was the easy option one, and I'm just going to leave it, and I would imagine that in 6 weeks time we're going to have loads and loads of growth, literally all the way up the length of this, because that's how they bud back when you really hit them hard. Now let's see the problem, shall we? Yeah, so come on then. You've been waiting to know what I think the real problem, what is going to be the biggest challenge for this Chinese elm. Apart from the fact that the basket is an absolute write-off, that's what we've got. Practically no roots. This root system here, there were 3 of them, 2 there. In fact, there were 2. There's one there, and one there. So there was 3 massive roots. That's thick. That's an inch diameter. I've got a few straggly roots here, and nothing much more. And then obviously with this plane of trees, plane of trunks. Now, it's really difficult to know what to do with this, but what I am going to do is test. This is the ideal candidate for what happens if you basically remove everything that's a root and just see how much roots it can produce with nothing. So should we do that then? Clearly there's no roots, so it isn't going to support that up there anyway, so let's just timber. Should I try and do a hardwood cutting on that? Who knows? Just to clarify, this is what I mean, we've got this little trunk in there which I don't think will be any good to anybody, but until, well, I'm not going to make any decisions like that. I'm going to cut these down first. I'm actually going to have to saw that. So I shall imagine that I will saw it at that sort of angle, see if we get roots going downwards from the open end. Okay, well, with the sun coming out, clearly I've done something right. I've taken the flat end off there, which means I'm thinking of potting it at that sort of angle. But the question is, down in the comments, do you think we're going to get some roots coming from this? Now what I will do is just clean up the edges, because what we do want is at least a reasonable edge on it. I don't want to take those roots off. The same way that when we clean up a cut wound, what we're trying to do is make it a nice clean edge there for the root production. So we'll see. Less worried about this one. Oh look, another pond basket. So there's a few roots there. We'll spread them out. Again, I'm going to plant this quite deep. What roots there are, I definitely want to encourage. I've got quite a nice base that I can tie this down to, so I will. The main thing right now is to just get those roots that are there spread out in a nice, as radial pattern as possible. Okay, well I've secured it down with a plastic tube. I have actually removed 2 of the branches which just weren't going to work. As I see it, we potentially got a triple trunk coming up if this all works out. Bury it deep. There aren't a lot of roots to worry about. What I'm hoping is, as I say, burying deep is another way of encouraging something that hasn't got roots to put roots up further up. Just clip some of these big bits that we don't really want. Well, there you go. And I have every reason to believe and fully confident that in another year's time we're going to see this absolutely covered in growth. And we'll revisit and have a look and see how much the root development's like. If I've seen lots of growth on this, we'll uncover this time next year and just see what sort of development there is. Very interested party upstairs. They obviously want to see what's going on with my bonsai as well.
Hey, bombs away, bombs away!
I'm glad I did that. Big lesson. 1, if you use pond baskets, the whole idea is you don't bury it. Put it on a surface, and as the roots come out, then they just naturally die off, and that causes bifurcation of roots further back. That's what I think anyway. So I won't ever bury these things again. And the other thing is, if you do leave them in the ground for too long, Chinese elm, like many of our trees, but definitely Chinese elm, love to just basically send out 1 or 2 big roots, and it'll go out for miles. So you're never going to get that bifurcation of root or fine root structure if you just leave them in the ground like that. You need to manage them, which is why you would put them in a bed, dig them up every year, and just see how it's going on. What else have I got to show you? Well, for someone who keeps failing on root cuttings, I've got 5 of the big roots that came from that. I'm just going to put them in here, put them down the bottom of the garden. Hey, who knows? And well, there's an absolute ton of cutting material here. I might have a look through and pick 3 or 4 that might potentially make great little show-in or even mame bonsai, but I'm certainly not going to inflict that on you. If they are successful, you'll see those next year. So, hopefully you've enjoyed that ramble through my garden dory Chinese elm dig. Lots of interesting things discovered, and certainly this is going to be an ideal opportunity to see just how much you really can cut off the roots with these things. If you've liked it, massive big thumbs up please. If you think other people will enjoy it or will get something from it, certainly on those beginner WhatsApp groups or Facebook groups, I'd really appreciate your help that way. Share it, because that does help me. And if you haven't subscribed, then please humbly ask you to subscribe, certainly if you enjoy my material and my bizarre sense of bonsai and humour. But apart from that, I wish you all the best, happy bonsai and God bless. Cheers.